Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well. Today, I want to share with you a personal story about my life before I started learning English. Maybe some of you will see yourself in this story, because I know many people face the same feelings and struggles. When I was a child, my world was very small. I grew up in a community where almost no one spoke English. At home, my parents used only our native language, and in school, English was just another subject that we had to pass in exams. We memorized grammar rules and vocabulary lists, but we never really spoke or used the language. It felt boring, difficult, and sometimes even pointless. Life in my town was simple, but I could feel the limits everywhere. Opportunities were not easy to find. Most people worked hard, but they stayed in the same place their whole lives. I wanted more. I wanted to understand songs on the radio, movies on TV, and the big world I could only see through a screen. But without English, it was like watching life from the outside. I remember the first time I saw someone speaking English fluently. Their words flowed so naturally, almost like music, and I could not understand a single sentence. In that moment, I felt small, like English was a secret code that only special people could use. My heart told me that this language could change my life, but my mind was full of fear. I thought, maybe I will never be able to speak like that. At school, English classes were a nightmare for me. Every time the teacher asked me to read out loud, my hands started to shake. My voice trembled, and I felt embarrassed when I made mistakes. Sometimes my classmates laughed, and that laughter stayed in my heart for a long time. I began to believe that maybe English was not for me, that it was only for smarter or richer people. But deep inside, a small voice told me not to give up. I knew English was important. I knew it was the key to new chances in life, better education, better jobs, and connections with people all over the world. Even though I was afraid, I felt a strong curiosity, a desire for something bigger than my small world. That feeling became the seed of my journey. At that time, I didn't have the key to open the door, but I could already see the door standing in front of me. And deep down, I promised myself that one day, no matter how hard it was, I would find the courage to step through it. Welcome back. In the last part of my story, I told you how my life felt limited before I started learning English. Today, I want to share with you the first real moment when English entered my life in a way that changed everything. I still remember the day clearly. I was sitting in my room, listening to the radio, when an English song came on. The rhythm was so catchy, and the singer's voice felt powerful. I couldn't understand the lyrics, but something about the sound pulled me in. I grabbed a piece of paper and tried to write down some of the words I heard, even if I spelled them wrong. It was frustrating, but also exciting. That was the first time I realized that English was not just a boring subject in school. It was alive, it was music, it was emotion. After that, I started noticing English everywhere, on TV shows, in advertisements, on the internet. I felt like the language was calling me, but I didn't know how to answer. I tried to watch a movie without subtitles once, and I could only catch 1 or 2 words. It was so difficult, but when I recognized a word I knew, I felt like I had found a hidden treasure. Those small moments gave me hope. At school, my English teacher sometimes played short listening exercises. Most of the time, I couldn't follow along. My classmates got bored and gave up, but I leaned forward in my chair, trying to catch even one sentence. I didn't understand much, but I liked the challenge. For the first time, I felt a spark of motivation. Of course, it wasn't easy. My first attempts at speaking English were full of mistakes. I pronounced words badly, and sometimes I mixed them up completely. Once I tried to say, "I am hungry," but instead said something that made the whole class laugh. My face turned red, and I felt so embarrassed. But deep inside, I realized something important. Mistakes are part of learning. That first encounter with English was like opening a small window to a bigger world. I could see a little, but not everything, and that small view made me hungry for more. I started dreaming about one day understanding a full song, having a real conversation, or even traveling to another country. English was no longer just a subject, it became a dream. From that moment, I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. My journey with English had officially begun. In the last part, I told you about my first encounter with English and how it opened a small window to the bigger world. But the truth is, the journey was not easy at all. Learning English came with many struggles, and I want to share them honestly with you, because maybe you have faced the same challenges too. At the beginning, everything felt confusing. Grammar rules looked like puzzles with missing pieces. Why do we say went instead of goed? Why are there so many tenses, and how do people actually use them in real life? I spent hours trying to memorize rules, but the moment I had to speak, my mind went completely blank. Pronunciation was another big problem. I tried to repeat words from songs or movies, but when I said them, they sounded nothing like the original. My tongue felt heavy, my mouth didn't know how to shape the sounds, and sometimes people laughed when I spoke. That laughter hurt, and it made me afraid of speaking in front of others. Another challenge was resources. At that time, I didn't have money to pay for expensive courses or private teachers. All I had were my school books and some old dictionaries. The internet was helpful, but even online, many lessons were too advanced for me. I often felt stuck between wanting to learn and not knowing how to move forward. Emotionally, the struggle was even harder. I compared myself to others who seemed to learn faster. I thought, maybe I am not smart enough. Maybe English is just not for me. There were nights when I closed my books in frustration and told myself I would never be fluent. But deep down, something stopped me from giving up completely. What kept me going were small victories. The first time I understood a whole sentence in a movie. The first time a foreigner understood what I was trying to say. Those tiny successes gave me hope, even when the road felt endless. Yes, the struggle was real. It was full of mistakes, embarrassment, and moments of doubt. But I learned something important. Every mistake was a step forward, and every struggle was shaping me into someone stronger. That difficult stage of my journey didn't stop me. It prepared me for the breakthroughs that were waiting just ahead. Hello everyone, welcome back. In the last part, I shared with you the struggles I faced while learning English. Confusing grammar, pronunciation problems, and the fear of making mistakes. But today, I want to talk about something more exciting, the breakthrough moments. These are the moments that made me realize my hard work was not wasted. One of the first breakthroughs happened when I listened to a song I had loved for years. Before, the lyrics sounded like noise, but one day I suddenly caught a whole sentence. It was a simple line, but I understood it completely. I was so happy that I played the song again and again, singing along even if my pronunciation wasn't perfect. That small victory gave me the confidence to keep going. Another unforgettable moment was when I watched a movie without subtitles. At first, I thought I wouldn't understand anything, but slowly, scene by scene, I started recognizing words, phrases, and even jokes. I laughed at the right time, not because of subtitles, but because I really understood. It felt like magic, like I was finally part of the story. The biggest breakthrough came when I had my first real conversation in English. I was nervous, my hands were shaking, but I managed to introduce myself, ask questions, and answer without switching to my native language. The other person understood me. Of course, I made mistakes, but instead of laughing, they encouraged me. That simple conversation felt like climbing a mountain and reaching the top. These moments changed everything. They showed me that English was no longer just rules and vocabulary. It was communication, connection, and confidence. I realized that I didn't need to be perfect to use English. I just needed to be brave enough to try. Each breakthrough, no matter how small, gave me energy to continue. They were like lights on a dark road, guiding me forward and showing me that fluency was possible if I didn't give up. Looking back, I can say that these breakthroughs were the turning point in my journey. They transformed English from a subject I feared into a tool I loved. And from that point on, the doors of opportunity began to open. In the last part, I shared with you the breakthrough moments that made me realize English was not just a subject, but a real tool for life. Today, I want to talk about what happened after those breakthroughs, how English started to open new opportunities for me. The first big change was at school. Before, English was my weakest subject, but after working hard and practicing, my grades slowly improved. I remember the day my teacher praised me in front of the class for the first time. That moment filled me with pride and showed me that all my effort was paying off. It gave me the confidence to keep pushing myself further. English also opened the door to knowledge. Suddenly, I could search the internet and understand more websites, videos, and online courses. I discovered tutorials, lectures, and articles that were not available in my native language. This gave me an advantage because I could learn new skills, not just in English, but also in other areas like technology, communication, and personal development. It felt like I had found a secret library that the whole world could access. Another opportunity came in making friends. Through social media and online communities, I started connecting with people from different countries. At first, my sentences were simple and full of mistakes, but the more I wrote and spoke, the better I became. I learned about different cultures, traditions, and ways of thinking. For the first time in my life, I felt part of a global community. English even opened professional doors. I was able to apply for part-time jobs that required basic English skills. Later, I got opportunities for better positions because employers valued my ability to communicate internationally. English became not just a subject I studied, it became a skill that changed my career path. Emotionally, the change was powerful. I no longer felt small or left out when I watched movies, listened to songs, or spoke with foreigners. Instead, I felt included, confident, and proud. The language that once scared me was now giving me chances I never thought I would have. That's when I realized something important. Learning English wasn't just about passing exams. It was about opening doors. Doors to knowledge, friendship, travel, and career. And once those doors started opening, my whole life began to transform. Hello everyone, welcome back. In the last part, I told you how English opened new opportunities in my life, better studies, new friends, and even career chances. But what I want to share now is something even deeper: how English changed me as a person. Before learning English, I was shy and often afraid to speak, even in my own language. I worried too much about making mistakes and what other people would think of me. But learning English forced me to face those fears. Every time I spoke and made errors, I learned that mistakes were not the end of the world. Slowly, I became braver, not just in English, but in life. I started to believe in myself more, and that confidence touched every part of who I was. English also changed my worldview. Through conversations with people from other countries, I discovered different traditions, values, and lifestyles. I realized that the world is bigger than my community, and yet we are all connected. This gave me a sense of belonging to something greater than myself. I was no longer just a person from a small town. I was part of a global family. My communication skills also grew stronger. English taught me to listen carefully, to think before speaking, and to express myself more clearly. These skills didn't just help me in English, they helped me in my native language too. I found myself becoming more confident in public speaking, writing, and even casual conversations. But the most beautiful change was becoming someone who could inspire and help others. Friends, classmates, and even younger students started asking me for advice on how to learn English. At first, I was surprised. Me, a teacher. But then I realized that sharing my journey could give others hope. I started helping them with tips, resources, and encouragement. Seeing them improve made me proud and reminded me how far I had come. Looking back, I see that English didn't just give me opportunities, it gave me a new identity. It turned me from a shy, uncertain person into someone confident, open-minded, and ready to share knowledge with others. And that transformation is something I will always carry with me. Hello everyone. Thank you for staying with me on this journey. We have reached the final part of my story, and I want to share with you how my life looks now and what English truly means to me. When I look back at my early days, I remember the fear, the mistakes, and the moments when I almost gave up. But when I compare that person to who I am today, I can see the transformation clearly. English has become more than just a language for me. It is the bridge that connects my past with my future. Now, I can watch movies, read books, and listen to songs in English without feeling lost. I can travel with confidence, meet new people, and express myself freely. Most importantly, I can dream bigger dreams, because I know I have the tool to reach them. The doors that once felt locked are now open, and each new opportunity makes me grateful for the struggles I went through. But English didn't just change my opportunities, it changed my heart. It taught me patience, consistency, and the value of never giving up. It gave me friendships across borders, knowledge from around the world, and a deeper understanding of different cultures. It helped me see that we are all connected, no matter what language we speak or where we come from. Today, I don't just learn English for myself, I also share what I know with others. I try to motivate friends, classmates, and even strangers online who feel the same fear I once felt. I tell them, if I can do it, so can you. Helping others grow gives me a sense of purpose, and reminds me why this journey was worth it. When I think about the future, I know English will continue to be part of my story. Whether it is in my career, my travels, or my friendships, it will always be the key that opened the world to me. Learning English didn't just give me a skill, it gave me a new life, a stronger identity, and a brighter future. And to everyone listening right now, I want to say, if English feels hard, don't stop. Your journey may be full of struggles, but every step will take you closer to the person you want to become. Trust me, it's worth it.